Here we are, beautiful souls. We're back at the Energy Center podcast. This is episode number 47, and I am completely thrilled to invite a guest, to have a guest on this episode with me. And this woman, she is a transformational mentor. I have been working with her quite a bit lately, and I can't wait to tell you all about her. Her name is Aveyah, and she lives in California. And so she's hopping on a Zoom call to join me on the Energy Center podcast today. I'm so thrilled to have you in the studio today, Aveyah. Welcome.
Thank you, Dana. It is such an honor, such a pleasure to be here. I am super, super excited for whatever is meant to unfold.
Awesome. Yay. So I'll just share a little background. So I've talked about my Akashic Records mentor before, Daniela Gill, and I've worked with Daniela a bit over the years, and she has this bestie, Aveyah, and I've been seeing Aveyah's content. I've been checking in on her every now and then. And most recently, there was a post that you had on Instagram, and it was about your embodied abundance membership. And I can't even remember what that post said, but whatever you wrote on there just felt like you were directly speaking to my soul because I'm in this stage of expansion and coming into this new way of being for myself personally and in my business. And so, something that you spoke to about your membership program really called me in. And so I think I've been in the embodied abundance program for a few months now, several months now. And I'd love for you to just share a little bit about what that program is and what it offers to the people that are connected in that container.
Mm. Well, first off, thank you for that beautiful introduction. I super appreciate you, and I definitely appreciate your presence in my world, in the offerings. And yeah, I want to say the Embodied Abundance membership was really born from my own desire, I want to say, to reach more people with the work that I do one on one. The one on one work that I do is absolutely my favorite type of work. And it is a lot of what we do in the membership, just on a much deeper, bigger scale. And so basically, the invitation in the membership is to really come forth in your edges and what you are actively expanding into, and to allow the video transmissions, the challenges, the monthly calls together where I do Q&A, and I also have occasional guest speakers who come through to really support and like unearth and call you to your edges. And it's really a space that I created out of a desire for, like, a wish that I would have had this back in the day, and how supportive that would have been. Yeah, and so here we are, and here you
Yeah,
are, and
yeah.
here I am. And so this to me is 1000% a manifestation of that embodied abundance, because literally, being when you shared about your podcast in the membership, and I went and I watched an episode, and I was like, babe, I love this, I love the thumbnails, all the things. And then my thought was literally like, oh, I hope she invites me on her podcast. And then so here we are.
Yeah, and then it
um,
came to fruition. It's so beautiful. Uh, I would say that the energy of abundance has really been calling me in and speaking to me so much lately. And what I've realized in working with you and in what the personal work that I'm exploring right now is that abundance is so important when we come to our expansion phase, when we're getting ready to invite new things in, because abundance helps us really say yes to all of the things, right? Our ego, that scarcity mindset can kind of hold us back and make us feel like, oh, I'm not ready, or this is too much right now. But really embodying abundance has helped me see so much more of what is possible for me to experience. And so I'd just like to talk a little bit more about the energy of abundance with you, Aveyah. What does abundance mean to you?
Ah,
So
I
much, right?
love, I love this question. I love it because I feel like abundance is both immense and so many things, and it's also super simple
Yeah.
and can be narrowed down to one thing. And so I would say, in its simplest form, what the essence of abundance really represents to me as a like somatic experiential state of being. I would say first and foremost, it's a state of being. Um, Beyond anything else. And in its simplest form, to me, it is literally the embodiment of love, of
Mm,
truth. And of course, that has a full spectrum of expressions, right? That can take the expression of love, of truth. And to me, love and truth are synonymous. When I
mm,
speak of truth, I really speak of truth like with a capital T here. Truth that is often obliterating to the ego in many ways. But it is like the compass to our soul. And so that the expression and the experience of abundance can look a million different ways. And I would say for me personally, the most profound experience in my own state of being of abundance is a profound state of deep presence
mm,
and unity,
mm,
unity within myself, a level of oneness with my own heart, with mind, body, soul, with how I relate to myself, my life, my loved ones. And in that, in the expression of oneness, of coming into a state of oneness with myself, my reality, my loved ones, my clients, my talent, my gifts, my song, there's edges and expansion. And to me, that wherever I don't know who I am beyond that edge, wherever it feels scary to my ego, is where lies more abundance. And so it's something that I'm utterly obsessed with. I could talk about it till the cows come home. I live it, I breathe it. It is literally a way of living to me, and it's also it's a point of orientation that is so hyper specific. And for me, it's what I'm devoted to, no matter what, on a very fundamental
mm.
level. Whether I'm doing this, in my work or otherwise, I this is my full-time devotion.
Wow. You there's so much wisdom and beauty that you shared in all of that. And I see you as really truly embodying abundance. It's such a blessing to get to work with you and get all the codes that you share in the membership and beyond that, right? We're going to be working even more together soon. I'm so excited for that. And so, yeah, just it is something that you carry so strongly in your field and you just exude this energy of abundance. And I'm so curious to know what has been your journey with abundance? Do you feel like you've always been this abundant being, or do you feel like you've dropped into this more and more recently?
Ah, such a good question. I would say yes and no. It's like, have I always been this abundant being? I feel like on a fundamental level, we all are.
Yeah.
And so from one perspective, I could say yes. As a child, I
Mhm.
was naturally oriented towards joy and very much in my heart and extremely
Mm.
sensitive, especially as a quadruple Pisces. And I would also say, no from many perspectives because, like everyone else, I've had um, some hard experiences in my life
Right.
where I have had to really be devotional and intentional in the ways that I wanted to embody abundance, love, expression, freedom. And that has been a very, very intentional, active, um, orientation and focus in my life. I want to
Mhm.
say for it's going to be 11 years now since my spiritual awakening.
Uh-huh.
And so, yes. So, yes, it has been, it was always there. And it was also something I have just devoted myself relentlessly, devotionally, obsessively. I would really say it's been an obsession
Mhm.
because the more I the more my own limitations became conscious to me, and the more I experienced who I was on the other side, it became wildly addictive because
Mhm.
I was like, holy shit, like everything I desire is on the other side of whatever I'm fearing,
Mm.
whatever I believe is going to annihilate my ego, or whatever I believe I'm not going to survive, literally. And yeah, it's like the amount of just community connections, love, a life of freedom, of travel. It's just the list goes on of what I have created in the pursuit, the obsession
Mhm.
of really continuously expanding my own field of abundance, which to me also just means expanding my own embodiment of love, of who I am. And that
Yeah.
has a million different flavors.
Yeah.
So, depending on the flavor, some paths have been bumpier than others. There is no doubt about it. And I would even argue that some of the bumpiest paths for me, for example, in relationships, have been the ones where I've actually become the most, it's become one of my lanes of genius
Yeah.
because it has been a very challenging one. Um, and and yeah.
Wow. You just put so much together for me in what you just said. And it sounds like the keys to abundance are number one, love, which makes so much sense, right? Because when we love ourselves, we are just naturally abundant. When we are full in the heart space and the heart chakra throughout our whole being, when we are emanating love, that's just naturally aligned with abundance, right? And then number two is to step outside of your comfort zone. And as you were speaking, I was thinking about in my own business those times, those moments where I made the choice to completely go to my edge and take a leap of faith. Those are the times that like mad abundance has come in for me. And it's because you open yourself up to new and different possibilities, right? If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same results. But if you get more expansive and allow yourself to experience something new and different, then that's going to like lead to a whole nother opening and access point to more abundance and more possibility. Wow, my mind is blown. Thank you, Aveyah, for sharing that. Oh,
100%. Yeah. And I want to say, it's like I want to add to that because
yeah.
it sounds beautiful and rosy, and like we all love rainbows and unicorns. And at the
Mhm.
same time, it's like, yes, framed that way, it's like, sure, who doesn't want to, you know, go in that direction? And I have to say, it's like that path isn't for the faint of heart
Mhm.
because, when we're speaking to what does it actually mean on a really practical, grounded level to lean into our edges wherever our ego is terrified, wherever we're super insecure, wherever we feel like we're not enough, we're not good enough, that we're probably going to fail, like all of those areas. It can sound like, oh, great, who doesn't want to be on this path? But it really isn't for the faint of heart,
Mhm.
because when you're in the thick of it can literally feel obliterating and
Uh-huh.
wildly challenging. And just like you, babe, it's like some of my biggest leaps came from, it's like, from the space, that gap between who you are and that leap to like who you're leaning into. That gap for me, there are certain leaps for me that it's like I would describe as excruciating, like
Mhm.
that, to close the gap, because the amount of, I mean, like limiting beliefs of like continuing to move in that direction when everything in you is screaming blue murder. And it's like your part of you is trusting, but the other part of you is like, oh hell no, girl. Like we're fucking like, this is nuts. You fucking lost your mind. You know what I mean? Like that, I also want to speak to that because it is a very real part of transformational work. And I also want to say, it does get, there's a point at which you kind of recognize, the name of the game. It, not that it just suddenly gets like ridiculously easy, but there is like a greater awareness in like, oh, okay, this is really fucking hard. And I've been here before, like I can stick with it. So yeah, so I also just want to, really speak to the full picture here
Mhm.
because it feels
Mhm.
important when we're speaking to this kind of transformational work.
Yes, and I love that you brought that up, and I shared that with Aveyah the other day. I shared that with you the other day. That's one of the things I love about you so much is you fully just call out and express and speak to the human experience as well. Like, yes, we are absolutely humans and we're here and we're going to have those moments of being completely terrified. And I think that that's one thing that I have learned and accepted with myself is I'm going to like scare myself, right? When you're on the path, I'm going to come to really scary situations. I'm going to come and, meet my shadow. I'm going to meet those edges and it's not going to be easy. There might be moments when it is, but yes, absolutely. There's going to be times when it is like scary beyond belief and we don't know what to do. And that's when we can like reach out for help and assistance too, right? We don't have to do it all on our own. And this actually leads in really beautifully to something else I wanted to share with the audience today about you is your work as a mentor. And um, I have worked with so many different teachers and mentors along my path, and I feel like working with a guide, working with someone who can really show you what you can't see, right? Help you see the blind spots, help support you in the ways that you need, whether you're expanding or whether you're healing or all the things. So, what is mentorship? I'd love for you to just share a little bit about what being a mentor is like for you, or what do you really love about being a mentor for other people?
Mm. Mm. I love the question. Thank you. Mentorship holds a really, really special place in my heart. It holds a very special and sacred place in my heart because I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have, you know, just leaped into different timelines and so many different moments if it wasn't for the mentors that I had. And
Yes.
so from a receiving perspective, even before I ever thought I would become a mentor myself, like there was a part of me that was like, me? Like, no, what are you saying? That's for other people. Like, I didn't even know back then. So part of, this part of why mentorship is such a special thing to me is first and foremost from how much I received from it
Mhm.
myself, and really began to recognize like, oh, like people living exceptional lives, they all have this in common. No one, people living exceptional lives outside of like the matrix box, they're not out here doing it alone. Like they're actually hiring people who are experts in like very sharp, fine-tune areas to help them literally shift timelines, like leap into a different reality. And once I really caught on to that, and obviously it was experiencing the transformation in my own life and what was possible there, it just kind of became like one thing led to another. And obviously I was very inspired by the people that I received mentorship from, and I was also inspired because I had incredible mentors, and then I had also other mentors that I was like, wow, I would do things differently.
Mhm.
And in the natural evolution of my being, of embodying, my own state of abundance, that it naturally became, it naturally came to a point where I was like, wow, I'm naturally like mentoring people coming to my previous business. I used to have a business as a lash artist.
Oh.
And as a French tutor, and I would be doing my clients' lashes and basically giving them sessions, and it was like this whole transformational experience. This was like years ago, and so it just kind of naturally happened as a progression of my own evolution. And what mentorship means to me today is it is a sacred,
Mm.
sacred space, and it is a sacred responsibility to me. Massively sacred. The women who come into my field, I mostly mentor women. Ironically, there's still men who find me, and there's alignment there as well, but mainly women. Um, the women who come into my world are just the most exquisite human beings. Like they are women who inspire me beyond. I could talk about them for days. They give me life. They are the type of women who impact the world. They're
Mhm.
world changers. And so to me, my responsibility in holding a space of pure possibility and being the one who is calling them forth in the blind spots, and giving like the most fine tune adjustments and seeing them like take it and flying. Like it's just like the smallest, most refined things. It's like right here is where you're not seeing it, and it's like boom, you just see them like whole system, energetic system lights up. There's like a recalibration, like the soul feels it, the heart, the body, and then they're flying, literally flying. It is a sacred responsibility and
Mm.
sacred honor. It's hard for me to put into words just how big it feels to me and to my heart. And by far the biggest reward in it is really seeing just how life altering it is. Like, I mean, when I look at these women that come, they make me think of myself,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. And so for me, it is one of my greatest joys. It's one of my greatest pleasures. And it's just a natural calling. It's fun. It feels like play. So, and honestly, most of the women who come into my field, we become soul sisters, soul family. And the fact that I get to create a container that really is crafted in such a hyper specific way that is wildly congruent with what
Mhm.
feels abundant to me
Mhm.
is like one of the greatest gifts, because it attracts people who are like, whoa, yes, I want your support and like all these different things. And my containers are wildly intimate. Like we go deep, and they're not wildly intimate because like that's strategic and like no, it's because I fucking love depth. Like I live for depth. I live for like give me the intimacy. Like give me like that dark corner that like can't even tell you how many times people have like I've never said that to anyone in my life, you know?
Yeah.
I live for that. I live for those moments of liberation, of like freeing parts of ourselves that haven't yet been shown the light. And so to have the opportunity to have a business and to show up in the most ecstatic way that just feels so delicious to me, and meet these incredible human beings in it, like at the most ripe place, it's like a ripe juncture where they're just ready to fucking fly. It's a sacred honor and responsibility beyond measure to
Oh.
me.
Do you have any Scorpio in your chart?
Do I have a Scorpio in my
Or just
chart?
is it mostly Pisces? Because
I think I have Pluto, I think.
oh, that makes so much sense. So I'm a Scorpio rising, and maybe it's the water signs, but what you just spoke to, I'm like, yes, that's what I love too. I feel this about you, and I know it's true about myself. I'm not a surface level person. Like I want to go deep with people. I want to have those deep, like transformative, life changing experiences. When I'm working with a mentor and when I'm mentoring other people, it's so important to me that it's not just like, okay, now I feel good. I have an energetic reset. No, it's like we're diving deep and we're like uncovering all the mysteries and figuring this stuff out because it's a part of your healing. It's a part of why, people are drawn to you or people are drawn to work with me, right? Because they're ready to receive that deeper level, next level experience, right? So it makes so much sense. What you just said, I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm so drawn to Aveyah because she likes to, yeah, go beneath the surface level and really uncover the magic that's there as well, right? Not just all the dark stuff, but also the magic as well. Ah.
100%. Yeah.
So, like, the other thing that I really see you as embodying so beautifully, and I've learned this throughout being in the membership with you, is you are this divine feminine goddess, right? You really embody the essence of the divine feminine, and you have it locked in. You have your masculine energy locked in as well. Like
Mm.
you get stuff done. When it comes to business, you are so smart and so organized and have like these frameworks and these structures in place. And so I'd love to also explore that a little bit more with you today. I've been talking on this podcast a lot about the divine feminine and how important that is for collectively for all of us right now, and especially for women right now who are ready to embody and be their divine feminine. And it's not like we're forgetting about the masculine, right? Like that's still a really important part of of life in general. So, how do you see the feminine and the masculine working together in kind of a new and different way on earth at this time?
Mm. How do I see it?
Yeah, how do you see the evolution or the union of feminine and masculine energies coming together instead of
Mm.
being so, uh, polar opposites or on opposite ends of the spectrum?
Mm. Well, I do feel like on a collective level on our planet, there is definitely a massive rebalancing
Mhm,
in the realms of the feminine.
mhm,
Um, Massively on a global level, simply because, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that, the masculine side has been dominating for quite some time. And so it yeah, I would say on a global level, there's definitely a rebalancing there of deepening, like moving away from so much like rigid, linear structure, logic,
Uh-huh.
etc., which 1,000% has its place and has
Right.
its value. But it also has significantly more value when coming into union with the heart, with the humanity, with the intuitive guidance that, can guide a lot of the bold, more linear moves that the masculine energy can penetrate the field with.
Mhm.
So I feel like on a global scale that there's a massive rebalancing there. And I also want to say, I mean, on an individual level, you know, it's so unique to each person
Mhm.
because some people need more balancing on the masculine side, some on the feminine. I mean, I feel like it's a dance no matter what, for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then how do you see the rise of the divine feminine? How has that come into your business or the way that you work with your clients?
It has a huge impact. Yeah, I have 4 placements in Pisces, but I also actually have more placements in earth signs. So I
Mm.
have a lot of earth, a lot of water. And thank goodness I have my rising is in Leo. Give me a little fire in
Oh,
my life.
I love Leo energy.
Ah, girl, it's like my inner performer. It's like my inner Beyonce that comes out. Um, it the divine feminine energy for me is really it's key because on a very personal level, and I've always been, I think for some women, it's been a journey to embody more of their feminine. That hasn't been the case for me. Like that, I was always
Mm,
way more in my feminine. Um, and for that reason, it has been very important to me that I build not only my business, but a life that actually supports my feminine. Because on a core level, I am a soft being. Yes, I can show up and be bold in moments, but I have a very, very, very feminine, deeply feminine core at the heart of myself. And so in terms of building my business and and how I also relate in terms of like my offerings, my clients, etc., it has been pivotal for me to ensure that I am growing and expanding in a way that feels spacious to my feminine, where, I have ample time to self-care, to meet community, to expand in different areas. Um, and for me, my business has to be dominantly built in a feminine way, in a very
mm,
feminine, supportive way, because that's just part of my own divine design. And I will say, for me, embodying more of that masculine structure has been a growth point,
mm,
um, because because I'm so naturally dominant in my feminine, my shadows have also been dominant in the feminine, meaning I could easily be like, woohoo, let's forget about all responsibilities and frolic in the garden and just like live our best lives. Like that switch could come on in a heartbeat. Um, and so it has been a very active expansion where, noticing where my feminine shadows can come online, be it in my business, in relationships, it all areas of my life, and noticing where there is more like grounded structure that is wanting to permeate the field, even though I've always been someone who's like supremely organized in all my things. I would say it's like the expansion for me has been in the realms of the masculine.
uh-huh.
And I would say what has been so much fun for me is like getting bits and pieces or learning from different mentors who are also very feminine based, but very balanced in their masculine as well, and learning pieces and integrating them, in my unique way where it really feels aligned. And that's how I've started like nerding out on different, like even things like strategy or marketing or things like that. There is a way in which we can approach things in a much more feminine way. And to
Mm,
me personally, what that means is through my channel. It's like
mm,
through like using the intuitive guidance to bridge, let's say masculine strategy and structure in, for example, business expansion. But then when you couple it with that like feminine, intuitive, oracular wisdom, now you're nailing things like in the most hyper specific way. And then that shit like gets me going like there's no tomorrow. So,
wow. Wow, you just spoke so beautifully to the divine union in business. And I love that you brought up the shadow aspects because we've absolutely been experiencing, or maybe we're more familiar with the shadow aspects of the masculine, right? The doing too much, the thinking, the overthinking, the overanalyzing, and all of that, creating too much structure or too much control, wanting to control too much. Those would be examples of the masculine shadow. And then you brought up just a little bit about the feminine shadow. So we're not like trying to completely swing the pendulum in the other direction and go all in with the feminine, right? We're trying to meet together somewhere in the middle. Can you speak a little bit more to the shadow side of the feminine?
oh God. Jesus. I've definitely explored all the facets of my own feminine shadows. Yeah, and I'm grateful for it, and I continue to. It's an ongoing, practice. One of the most common things that I've experienced, that can often fly under the radar and that I see in my clients, a lot is, especially like conscious women,
Uh-huh.
right? Conscious feminine women. There's often this almost like it's like we become so attuned to like, okay, let me move with alignment, right? That's on point. Amazing. 10 on 10. And there's almost like a shadow side to being like, oh, let me feel into this. And then if it doesn't feel good, so to speak, it can be like, oh, it doesn't feel like the moment, or like, oh no, that's like not aligned, or you know making a calendar or creating a schedule for myself and choosing to show up for it and be devoted to it. It's like, oh, that feels too like disciplined, or it feels too like, and it's like, but hang on, does it, is it because it like intuitively, like on a soul level, just really is not resonant with you at this time? Or is it because that feminine shadow of like not desiring the structure of like, it's like it's a feminine shadow, but it's also it's an ego protection mechanism,
Uh-huh.
right? That kind of is like, ooh, I'll trick you to believe that it's your intuitive sense that's saying, oh no, like this is not aligned, that doesn't feel good, or this is not my way. But the truth is, it will feel uncomfortable when
Mhm.
you're learning new things. And I feel like one of the biggest feminine shadows that I see that actually delays so much of what is possible for women, specifically women who are looking to expand in their own God-led businesses, is this specifically. I see it all the time where
Uh,
there's so much like time and delay that's created through the it's like I want to say, yeah, through the shadow of believing that what they're feeling into is like, oh, this isn't aligned, versus it's like, no, this is aligned. It just feels scary and new and unfamiliar.
Mhm.
And yes, it does require some like recalibration because it does feel awkward to show up more in a more balanced with a more balance with our masculine. And it will feel awkward. And yes, sometimes you're not going to feel like it. Like
Mhm.
you're just not. Like that's part of the recalibration too. It's part of the learning curve and being willing to show up when we don't feel like it or when our feminine is like, man, I just want to like stay in bed longer. I just want to like journal and like do things that make me feel like so good inside. It's like that can make you feel good inside, but when is that at the cost of actually boldly using your masculine energy to penetrate the field and be like, no, we're doing this. We're gonna do this. Like, it's okay if it feels uncomfortable, if you don't feel like doing it. And I do see that that's where a lot of people get caught up. And I have gotten caught up in that many times in different seasons. I feel like I'm at a point now where I definitely can I catch myself and I want to say sometimes when it happens, I'm like, nah, fuck it. I'm gonna indulge. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, I'm just gonna let my feminine shadow run wild today. Like, let her have her way. And like
Uh-huh.
tomorrow we'll get back on track. But that would be something I would say that I've observed a lot, and I've really seen a lot of, um, yeah, almost
Yeah.
like self-trickery there.
Yeah, you just gave me so much insight about myself because I have my south node is in Pisces, so I'm real comfortable with just, yeah, laying back, meditating all day, doing all the divine feminine things. And so that means my north node is in Virgo. And so my soul really came here to like get shit done, right? To do stuff, to create structure and to have plans and to be organized and to do the work, point
Hmm.
blank. So it's like, and I've been talking about this also a lot on the show with the dragon energy and the fire and calling ourselves into action because we can be in our feminine energy, but we have to like be it in the world, right? We can sit at home all day and meditate all day, or we can actually bring that divine feminine out into the world. So since we've been talking a lot about dragon energy, I'd just love for you to share, Aveyah, who's your dragon? What's your dragon all about?
Oh, I loved your episode on unleashing the dragon. That was really, really profound.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, I haven't related to my own fire in the energy of dragon per
Uh-huh.
se, although I can relate to it in that way when someone calls it forth, the way
Uh-huh.
you did in your podcast. And so I feel like my relationship to my fire, just as like as the essence, for me, it's been an evolutionary one. It has not always felt safe, and I
Mhm.
do feel like that is part of the reason why a lot of the women that I attract are still like these beautiful, like soft, um, deeply intuitive, like devoted women, but they're also like wanting more of that expression in the fire. Um, because that has been also my path. And for me, it's been an expansion to continuously push the edges of my fire and create more safety as I push the expansion
Mhm.
further. Because I've certainly cultivated, which most women have cultivated, like a sense of safety, being, pleasing and palpable and sweet and kind and caring and thoughtful. But it's like the version of ourselves that's bold, that's direct, that asks for what she wants, that takes up space, that changes the temperature of a room when she walks in. that is the kind of unapologetic energy that I love, I live for. And I would say, yeah, that has been my relationship. It has been an ongoing, expansive relationship. It definitely wasn't one that I had since I was little. I was way more like quiet, more reserved. I love sports. I was always an athlete, but I wasn't like just like loud and outs, but like it just didn't feel natural. And I would say that for me, um, my fire, specifically in this season of my life, has been wanting to be expressed more in my artistry. So I'm also a singer-songwriter. So in the music that I'm writing, um, the music videos that I am creating, the choreography, the dance, also lyrically, like just being almost like not giving a fuck, you know what I mean? Like just being like yeah, this happened, It's like, yes, like I do write music that is wildly, inspirational and like calls forth that depth, but I also can write music that's super fucking human,
Mhm.
And like I've gone through shit, and it's like giving myself permission there to really be expressed in that way. Um yeah, and even energetically, I want to say, like allowing more of that sass, that sexual energy to come online and to add to, the sweetness, the like sweet like honey,
Uh-huh.
but she's also got that spice.
Yes. Can we talk a little bit about your music?
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, I think that this also ties in so beautifully to everything we've been talking about with the divine feminine and coming into divine union and the dragon energy. I know for me, I've talked about this a lot on the show. I've had so many experiences in my healing journey with learning to open my throat chakra and expressing myself more. And I feel like this is why I have a podcast because my soul is like, use your voice. Come on, let's do this. And so, what has been your experience or your journey with your voice? Were you always a singer, or is that something you recently stepped into?
Oh wow, my journey started when I was way, way young. So I grew up I'm half Filipina and half French, and so my mother, I mean, in Filipino culture, you sing. It's like part of
Oh,
the culture. It's like the concept of, oh, I don't sing doesn't really exist in Filipino culture. It's like if God gave you a voice. If you can speak, you can sing. That's kind of the culture. And karaoke is a huge part of the culture. And so, I grew up in a household with a mother who's an incredible singer. That was her number one dream, was to become a singer. And so we would sing, play the piano. I've sung and played the piano ever since I can remember. Um, and so from that perspective, I would say my relationship to my voice, was already rooted from a young age. And there's always an and. It's also been a really edgy one for me.
mhm,
A really edgy one where I feel like uh, there's been a lot of transmuting of what I feel. Yeah, it kind of sometimes just feels like ancestral
uh-huh,
or linear, coming from even just my mother's lineage, etc. I've definitely had to and continue to lean into the edges of, self-criticism
mm,
there or comparison. So it continues to be an edge that's really important to me. Yeah. And it's also, for me, it really feels like an expression of the abundance of who I am, the uniqueness of who I am that really comes through on such a like unique frequency of me, of Aveyah, of everything that I embody. So from that perspective, it also makes it wildly vulnerable. um, wildly vulnerable. And there is something to, performing live and whatnot, that definitely adds more edge, because unlike when we're doing podcasts or when I'm, speaking or things like that, it's like you can pause, you can do whatever, but when you're like in the moment, um, it calls forth a level of unity. We're coming back to what we spoke about, a level of unity in
Uh-huh.
that state of oneness to really be in it and deliver it, and I don't want to say deliver beyond performance, to like to really leave your heart and soul. And so for me, in terms of my relationship to my voice in all of those realms, it is very much a continued
Uh-huh.
expansion point for sure, because it feels so deeply personal and vulnerable for me.
Wow. I just had this little insight popped in as you were speaking, and it's like when we are in union with ourselves, it's like tying everything together, right? When we are in union with ourselves and we're like speaking our truth and embodied in love and feeling into our abundance, it's like then we're able to take those steps. Then we're able to move to the next level. Then we're able to push our edges. And so it's a journey, right? Like I wish we could all I did a reel about this a while ago on Instagram. I wish we could all like wake up, boom, and instantly be awakened and like have all the things. And at the same time, the journey is so important and the journey is so special and so unique to all of us. So you've shared just an immense amount of wisdom and dropped so much knowledge around your own journey and your growth and your evolution towards abundance and love and embodiment and all the things. Is there anything else that you feel called to share with the audience today, Aveyah?
Hmm. I feel like if I were to leave, your audience or the world with one nugget, is to really just go for it.
Mm.
Like, go for it. I feel like um sometimes in life we can get so caught up in our own internal worlds, and I just I it never ceases to amaze me when we just keep deciding to move one foot in front of the other, even if it's like a little toe in front of the other. That's okay too. Like, but I would say, yeah, to really, really go for it, because the life I have created today, and it's not to say that I don't have my moments and I don't have my own bumps and challenges along the way, but as a whole, it is so beyond far from what I could have ever imagined, way back when. And I 1000 know, 1000% know and believe that we can actually be living like this as a collective. Like,
Mm.
there is a version of the earth that exists where, instead of being indoctrinated to like, work for whatever 40 years and then retire and then wait till you die, um, like there's a version of earth where everyone is literally actively, devotionally attuning to what is possible for them on the other side of whatever fears and insecurities they have. So that would be, yeah, that would be something I would love to just share and to end on.
Oh, that is pure magic. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on the show and for sharing just your beautiful essence with the audience and your incredible energy and all the codes that you have. We love all of it. Thank you. Thank you. So, if someone wants to connect with you, Aveyah, where can they find you?
Totally. So the easiest way is on Instagram. So I'm at I am.aveyah, Aveyaah. or on my website. So that's www.aveyah.love. And yeah, you can find all of my offerings, what I'm up to, uh, retreats, all the things, all the great things.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And please remember, if you are tuning in to the Energy Center podcast, please give it a like, a subscribe, share with your friends, because we want to keep this high vibrational energy moving around the whole planet. And yeah, thank you so much, Aveyah, for being here. We love you. I love you. I can't wait to work more with you. It's going to be a wild and enjoyable and loving ride. I can't wait. So thank you, everybody. Namaste.